So how are you doing when it comes to learning patience? Hey friends, it's Pastor Mike from Fellowship Church. Always enjoy connecting with you midweek. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Believe it or not, next week is Holy Week, getting closer to Easter. That question for you again. How are you doing when it comes to learning patience? Now, friends, there's a verse in the Bible, in the book of Hebrews, maybe not a book that you've read too often in the past, and it says something about Jesus that over the years, decades, generations, people have sometimes struggled with a bit. It's a verse that simply says that Jesus learned obedience by what he suffered. And the reason why I brought patience up a minute ago is that some translations say it a little bit differently. They say Jesus learned patience by what he suffered. We'll talk about that in a second. But here's something that makes some people a little bit uncomfortable. The idea that Jesus had to learn anything. Well, Pastor Mike, since Jesus was God in the flesh, how come he had to learn anything when he was down here? How come he just didn't bring all of his heavenly knowledge and wisdom with him? And I have a simple answer for you. I don't know. I don't know why Jesus chose to bring some knowledge with him and some that he didn't bring. I do know that in Luke's gospel, when Jesus was meeting with some temple people, and he wasn't even a teenager yet, Jesus was having a pretty deep theological conversation with them. Obviously, he was pretty advanced. And yet the Bible is pretty clear that he had to learn. So Jesus must have gone through some of the same learning processes that you and I do. And maybe some of it was just accumulation of knowledge, and maybe some of it took some experience, because that's how we learn. Sometimes we just soak up knowledge, and sometimes we have to go through things in life to gain understanding. So the Bible's pretty clear that while Jesus was on earth, he had to learn certain things. And here's what he learned. He learned obedience by what he suffered. Well, golly, Pastor Mike, that sounds pretty serious. Yeah, here's something I know. I know that suffering, difficult times, difficult days, weeks, months, whether it's something that causes some mild discomfort or something that is life-altering, suffering allows people to gain knowledge that they wouldn't have any other way. And here's what I mean by that. If you've gone through some difficult times in your life when you were also a Christian, you learned some things about God during those days. Why? Because God uses suffering in a very positive way. Some really smart people over time have said that God redeems suffering, and that God uses suffering, the difficult experiences of this world, the things that cause us pain, God uses them to teach us things about himself that you can't learn any other way. So God uses suffering, the difficult experiences of this life, the things that cause us hurt, God uses them to increase our knowledge and awareness of him. In fact, I would say that Christians who have gone through some pretty difficult times, they know things about God that some of the rest of us don't know. And their relationship with God may run a little bit deeper than some of the rest of us may understand as well. So suffering certainly is something that gives us some new knowledge. And here's something about Jesus. When it says that he learned obedience by what he suffered, some translations say he learned patience. Here's what I've discovered about suffering. It's in suffering that we gain a new sense of reliance upon God. And friends, that can directly lead to patience. Because when you're going through difficulties and you realize that you can't stop it, or you can't fix it, or you can't force healing, or you can't find that job, or whatever it is, when you're going through difficult experiences, you're forced into a position of being more reliant upon God, trusting him maybe more than you have in the past. And friends, that leads to patience. And that also leads to a greater sense of obedience, which is, God, I have discovered that there are times in this life when I can't fix stuff myself. So I've had to learn more, lean more upon you, and that helps me to follow you better. That's obedience. And it helps me to trust you more. That's patience. So here's something that we saw in the life of Jesus. The Bible tells us that he learned patience/obedience by what he suffered. And friends, he was just setting the model for us, because the exact same thing is true of you. So when you go through difficult experiences in this life, my hope and prayer for you is that God would use those difficult experiences to help you follow better, that's obedience, and to help you trust more, that's patience. And may you gain both patience and obedience by the difficult experiences in this life. Why? Because God is with you through it all. Friends, I hope that speaks to you. It certainly speaks to me. I still wonder some things about that verse. It'll all be made clear someday. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.